you're selling a home or thinking about selling home, this is something you need to understand before you hire a realtor, or if you have, you need to have this conversation right now. A seller should never allow their agent to represent both sides of a transaction. A good agent should be willing to agree to this instantly. A great agent would have brought this up as a discussion topic in the very first conversation that you ever had with them. This practice is called dual agency or double ending. And while it's completely legal in almost all states, including here in California, it doesn't mean that it works in your favor. In fact, it almost never does. My name is Michael Hausam. I'm an active real estate broker right here in Southern California, and I've been licensed for nearly 25 years. Before that, I spent a decade in the mortgage business working with buyers and sellers and agents on thousands of transactions. So here's why this idea of double ending matters. As a seller, when you hire an agent, their job is very clear. They are to advocate for you. They have a responsibility to get you the best price and terms possible. That's literally a fiduciary responsibility to put your interests above theirs. And that's actually a commitment in the listing agreement itself. That means advice and strategy and positioning and negotiating and protecting your interests, anything and everything from the second you hire them all the way through the close of escrow. But the minute that agent is representing a buyer against you, that advocacy breaks down. So think about it this way. You would actually never hire a lawyer who represented you in the other party. In fact, you can't, because a lawyer that did that would be disbarred. It's illegal in every single state in the country. You would never have a coach that's coaching both teams. When you have an agent that's double ending, they're quitting their job as your coach, and then they just become a referee. And a referee can't actually help you. They're just assisting both sides in following the rules. Now, in real estate, sellers are actually told all the time that this is good for them, that it's beneficial. It's pitched as a convenience. Oh, it's going to be smoother. It's going to be less conflict, easier for everybody. We can keep it all in-house. Now, what's rarely explained is that this conflict immediately appears, or it's going to be sitting on their shoulder, tempting for them. When one agent represents both sides, how does the negotiating actually happen? Who are they negotiating against? Who are they pushing on when there's still a price discrepancy or a repair request or concessions or some other thing? And if things get tense, who are they going to protect? Are they going to protect you? Or are they going to protect the other side? Well, in a best case scenario, they're protecting neither. But that's actually not the way it works out. Reality, instead of strong advocacy, everything gets softened. There's just pressure. No, let's just make this work. Instead of pressuring them to get you the best possible outcome. In the course of a home sale or a home search or whatever process you're going through, an agent's going to get all kinds of information from their client, their motivations and their influences and financial circumstances, all other kinds of things that are going on, right? And they're incredibly important on any decision that might come up during the course of an escrow. And the agent knows this, of course, all of this background information from both sides in a dual scenario, and that is going to influence on how they proceed in any of those particular circumstances. And then there's another issue that you might not see with this. An agent who's doing both sides may end up balancing where their future business is going to come from, right? They may want to keep the buyer of your house happy because they work in that neighborhood and they want that buyer to refer them business, or they don't want to have conflicts with them if they've got friends in the neighborhood. What ends up happening there is your outcome is no longer their only priority, and you do not want that. Now, could a highly ethical agent try to navigate this thing? Of course they could try, but as a seller, you shouldn't be relying on the perfect intentions when hundreds of thousands of dollars are at stake. For me, I have never once ever double-ended a deal, and I'll never do it. But your job isn't to make things easy for that agent. Your job is to protect yourself, your money, and your interests. The other thing we should address probably is the real reason that agents and brokerages love double-ended sales. Why do you think that is? Do you think it's because they're also excited about rigorously pursuing their clients' best interests and optimal outcomes? Of course not. That's not why they're so into it. It's because of the money. Even if the agent is discounting for the double end, right? If I bring a buyer in, I'll knock off whatever percentage. It's certainly going to be more money for them than if it's another agent that brings the deal. Money is going to be their focus. And then all of a sudden, you've got an agenda that's at cross purposes. They're going to want to keep their deal together so they get paid more, not necessarily what's better for you and the outcomes that are better for you. So I was meeting with the coaching client the other day, one of which I talked about this double ending thing lots of times. And he's known that I don't double end and never had. And he's always had a couple of objections to it, right? He's like, well, what about the circumstances of this or that? But for him even, it always comes down to money. But what ends up happening is that replaces the client's outcome as more important. So in this conversation the other day, he's now told me he's totally changing his policy. Never going to double end again. And what happened is he did one earlier this year that he thought was going okay, but it kind of went sideways. And then both parties started getting upset with him. And he didn't want to be in that position again, which was not only wise, it's the right thing to do. So this is why my advice to you is very simple. If you're selling a home, don't allow your realtor to represent both sides. If you've already hired one, you need to have that conversation right now. If you're interviewing agents, simply ask them, hey, do you double end? This is a sort of thing that most sellers learn about after the fact when it's too late to change it. Understanding it up front puts you back in control.